You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey everyone, welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. It's going to be a great show, so hopefully you're able to stay with us throughout the entirety. Got off to a little bit of a late start this morning, but that's happened before, and we've had a great show regardless. So today shouldn't be an exception. Shouldn't be anything different, and we'll have your weather, your news, and headlines from local outlets here in Sudbury, taken from our Sudbury.news website, which is the news aggregator right here in Greater Sudbury. Getting all of our local news onto one page conveniently now that we're not able to share it on social media due to a policy by our federal government. Welcome if you're joining us from Sudbury, around the area, the province, the country, or the world. We welcome you to the show. Grateful to be back on YouTube today. We're live on the radio here in Sudbury, CKLU 96.7 FM, each and every weekday morning between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. We're also streaming on their website, cklu.ca. Click on the Radio Player Canada app. You can stream us. You can also download the same Radio Player Canada app and take us with you. Listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. We're also live on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. We are off for a week on YouTube, but we're, I guess, apparently back. We will try not to share any interviews with Justin Trudeau's half-brother. That seems to be the reason why we were taken off for a week on YouTube. I guess somebody at YouTube didn't like that idea for some reason. So I guess that's just the way that it goes. This particular same gentleman, Justin Trudeau's half-brother, was during COVID taken down from Twitter as well, from going against the narrative of his brother, just saying, you know, everything needs to be locked down. There's one solution for everybody, you know, and he was questioning things, saying, really, does you need to be that extreme? So he was taken off Twitter. And so just recently, by sharing an interview with him, we were taken off YouTube. So I guess some things you just can't speak up or out against in society, on certain platforms where certain platforms leaders have certain ideologies that believe certain things, and words are dangerous. Words are very dangerous to them, especially. To me, no. Like, if I have a platform, say what you want. I mean, it's up to people to hear your words and decide for themselves whether that is something, worth listening to or not. I saw the weirdest little meme this morning, or a story from an NHL or a sports page on Facebook saying they saw the Sedin twins in Game 7 of the game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks in the playoffs. And Sedin twins have been retired for several years, but they have a screenshot of them being on the ice in the game. And they were like, whoa, are we in like some kind of a computer program or something like that, or an alternate universe or something? So you should have saw the comments. They were like, oh my goodness, like it must be a slow story day. Put on your tinfoil hat, all these things, right? But that's the thing. They shared that, they showed it, and people were all over the board on their comments. So I'm able to read through the comments and go, yeah, I guess it does seem pretty darn far out, and I can see why somebody has that opinion. Without getting totally upset, and without even reading the story, I have no idea what the story is. I'm just actually grateful to hear different points of view. Like, yeah, it sounds wacky, so I'm grateful that person was able to get out there and say that sounds extremely wacky. And I also appreciated some of the comments that said, yeah, there were things about hockey could be fixed, even on how they performed in Game 7, was alluded to showing or proving how hockey is fixed, or all sports I even heard was fixed at some point. We know soccer, we know basketball, we know college basketball for sure in the 80s was outed that, the mafia was involved with sports being fixed. So that way people who bet on it could win or lose, or it could be controlled. And who controlled it at the time? It was the mafia, right? Now it's the government, which there's not much difference between the two. I think it's just a different form of some, but they control all the gambling and betting and make it legal, so that way they can control it, right? So it's all about control. And coming back to these platforms, it's all about control. It's all about controlling you. And I just think it's better to just leave people being able to say what they want, and you decide for yourself whether that's, because as soon as someone starts coming out and saying, I don't believe that, you should be able to say that, or you shouldn't be able to do this. If it's not against the law, then that's just, okay, sure, that's your opinion or whatever. As soon as there are laws already made, and they are pretty clear, and people can overstep the bounds, even on social media, and break laws that already exist online. And if you do it in your country that you're in, then you should be subject to the country's laws that you're broadcasting from, in whatever show you're doing, whatever podcast, online, whatever platform. The platforms themselves should just be public forums. So anyways, that's just my opinion. I know it's not opinion that's widely held by a lot of society today. They want to be able to shut down any other voices that don't agree with theirs, and I don't agree with that. So once you start canceling one person, then you got to cancel another. Cancel until everyone's canceled and you don't have anything left. If you don't see that, then I don't know what to say. That's what ends up happening with canceling people. And they're not being canceled because they broke a law. They broke a societal kind of whatever. Whoever owns the platform decided they need to be canceled, or a group of people decided they're not even any authority whatsoever. They're just a group of people who said, we don't like what's being said, so we're going to cancel that. Anyways, today we got a great show planned for you. We're going to dive into some local headlines, some juicy stuff coming out of City Hall and council meetings. And speaking of canceling, people wanting certain people to be fired here in our city, and certain councillors wanting certain city employees to be fired. So that's pretty interesting stuff. And we'll have more on substance abuse and how it's affecting our city, how it's affecting our country, how it's affecting our world, and how we look at it. So we'll look at the harm reduction versus the rehabilitation. We've done that time and time again on the show, and there are a lot of people who believe really strongly about harm reduction, right? There's a story out of Sudbury.com today speaking about that very thing, and then we'll have a video showing the opposite. And drugs, drugs, being addicted to opioids, harmful drugs. Where do we get in society where now we feel we just want to give people drugs and enable them and keep them safe from the harmful ones while keeping them addicted to that very drug that's still destroying their life? It's not a life, really, when you're addicted to a substance like that. But we'll talk about, so drugs have a stigmatism that they're trying to get rid of. But alcohol, what about alcohol? We don't really talk about that too much. And how does alcohol relate to drugs? Are they related? Are they? Is one good and one's bad? And we'll look into that, and we'll really start asking ourselves some hard questions and see if we can reduce the harm that we're doing psychologically on our society, on the way we think. Maybe it comes down to the way we think that then leads to the way we govern ourselves and the way we conduct ourselves. Anyways, so it's going to be some deep stuff on the show following our local news headlines. We'll be back right after the weather. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. And welcome to this Sudbury weather portion of the show, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Currently, it is 16 degrees, and today we can expect it to be cloudy with a 30% chance of showers. It looks pretty ominous out there at the moment, where I am anyways. So a 30% chance of showers early this morning. Showers beginning this morning, then changing to 30% chance of showers this afternoon. So there's a 30% of, just to read this again from Environment Canada, it's cloudy with a 30% chance of showers early this morning. Showers beginning this morning and then changing to a 30% chance of showers this afternoon. So they're saying there's a 30% chance, but then they're saying it's gonna, no matter what, we're getting showers, and then it's gonna go back to a 30% chance of showers this afternoon. Risk of thunderstorm. Fog patches dissipating in the morning. The wind will be gusting up to 50 late this afternoon, so a little windy. High of 23. With the humidex, it'll feel like 28. UV index is 3 or moderate. Tonight, partly cloudy, 30% chance of showers this evening. And wind will be west, coming from the west, gusting to 50 again. Low of 10, a little cooler tonight, Thursday. Mix of sun and cloud. The wind will be southwest, 20 kilometers, gusting to 50. Becoming west 40, gusting to 60 in the afternoon, so a little windier tomorrow even. High of 21, but the UV index will be pretty high at 7. Thursday again, high of 21, mix of sun and cloud. Friday, 30% chance of showers, high of 25. Saturday, 60% chance of showers with a high of 18. 30% chance of showers on Sunday, so doesn't look like a very promising weekend coming up here. Pretty much 30%, 60%, 30% chance of showers. But that also means 70%, 40%, and 70% chance that it won't rain. 20 degrees on Monday, mix of sun and cloud, and high of 19 on Tuesday, cloudy. Look at your satellite. A lot of activity. Looks like around Timmins. We're really getting it about an hour ago. But just cloudy around Sudbury at the moment. So full of clouds throughout central Ontario where we are. But north, it looks like they're getting a lot of precipitation and a lot of activity, precipitation and otherwise up north. But we look pretty okay here in Sudbury. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. We'll be back with your comments, news headlines, and more right after this. Okay, and welcome back. And a bunch of people on this morning, so welcome to you. And usually we do a few shout outs in the morning for those that are joining us for the first time. And yes, YouTube is working, so that's great. We have some people already joining us on YouTube, including Nancy. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a good morning, and I'm grateful that YouTube is back up and running. Judy, good morning on Facebook. Monique, good morning. Sudbury with a smiley emoji. David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. Same to you, David. And Maurice, good morning with a smiley emoji. Belinda, good morning, and good morning to you. There will always be someone who doesn't see your worth. So don't let be you is what what it says. And I know I would say just be you. I don't know. So there's always someone who doesn't see your worth. So just, I would say just be you. But okay, maybe you have something else that you said here that clarifies it. Not sure. It's going to come in way late here because there's a lot of people. Anyways, we'll get back to that. And so Belinda has a positive statement usually every day for us. And that one's no different. But yeah, other people don't see your worth. It just is what it is. You are in charge of you. That's why a lot of people, they'll go to the doctor and say, oh, the doctor wasn't able to do this, wasn't able to do that. But they're not in charge of you. You are. You really have to take ownership of yourself. You're in the driver's seat of your life. You're the one that's going to live and die on your decisions that you make for you, right? So you are worth something. Don't rely on other people to decide that for you. You know you're worth something. You just are. By being born, you're worth your worth is great. So no matter what other people think of you. Now, if you have people that you care about and love and they're giving you some good pointers on things that will help you make good decisions, maybe sometimes you're not able to see your worth and other people do see your worth. So there's an opposite side to that as well, right? So sometimes you have cheerleaders in your life that say, hey, you're worth more than what you're kind of doing in your life right now. And those are good things to hear from people that love and appreciate and care about us, right? Good morning, Minik. Thanks for being with us. Smiley emoji. Mona, good morning. Liette, good morning from Collingwood. Monique, most people don't want their bubble to burst. That's true. I've learned that as well. I might have been there at one point in my life. Monique, because what is coming our way will completely change their world. And that is true. There's definitely, we all feel it. We all feel a shift is on the way. And it might be hard, but a shift is coming no matter what. I definitely, you can just feel it in the air. Marianne, good morning, everyone from Barrie. Sunny Barrie for now. Liked and shared. Wow, you got some sun there. Bring a little bit of it up here. We'd really appreciate it. Belinda also says, when exposing a crime is treated as committing a crime, you are being ruled by criminals. Whoa, very profound. And yes, that is true. And again, it reminds me of a country or, an area in Europe back just before World War II where similar things were going on. And a lot of people were unaware what was really happening to their minds, what was really being put in there and what was planned for their future. And until it was all over and they looked back and said, what the heck happened here? It was very, very confusing. And that's what's happening in our world too. So yeah, it's we're living in a world where good is bad, bad is good, up is down, down is up. And to speak the truth is definitely a rarity in our world because you'll be jumped on by a lot of people if you do speak it. You remember that whole thing, speaking truth to power? Well, that whole movement is in power now and they don't like that too much. Okay, so Denise, good morning, everyone. Stay safe and healthy. Like and share. Thank you very much for sure. And Marianne says alcohol is different from form of drugs, just like cigarettes. Correct. Yes. So we're going to be getting into that a little bit today. Pat, good morning, friends. Good morning to you. And Kevin, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kevin. I hope you're feeling better this morning. Thoughts and prayers for you, for sure. Jungle Jim, morning. I came for the comments. Yes, I know you find them very interesting. And the idea that, I find them interesting too. And that's my whole little bit of a rant this morning about free speech, I guess, or not canceling people for saying what they believe. For anything, it's entertaining when you hear thoughts that are totally different than yours. It just is, right? So why would we want to prevent that? Why would we want to cancel people who have interesting comments that they're even entertaining sometimes when they're out in left field with different things or according to us, they're out in left field, right? So I myself just enjoy reading other people's points of view. It's kind of enlightening. Some people get mad though. They get mad seeing someone else's point of view. I don't understand that, but that's just me. And I think that's why I'm intrigued because I don't understand it and I'm trying to understand it and I don't mind hearing other people. Good morning, Vin. Thanks for being with us. Bob, good morning to you with the way Environment Canada words the weather report. I have a very tough time believing the persons writing it know how to speak or understand proper English. And you wrote English. But I don't know if that was on purpose or not. But anyways, so I understand. Yeah, when I'm reading Environment Canada's weather every day, it is weird. Sometimes I was interpreting it on the fly, but today I just kind of read it as it was. And the whole wind thing, the way they write the wind, is just interesting. But anyways, it is what it is. We're grateful for Environment Canada at least informing us of what we can expect in the weather anyways. Belinda, don't let it be you. Okay, that's so going back to others not being able to see your worth, right? So there will always be someone who doesn't see your worth. And don't let it be you. So thank you very much for clarifying that. Good morning, Miles. Morning data has proven in many studies, no matter how little or how much consumption alcohol leads to fatty liver syndrome, depression, and eventually depression because it shrinks your brain cells and does lead to stroke as well. Much has been said that a little is beneficial, but even doing that every day for the long term is harmful. Thank you for that. And yeah, we'll have a little bit more on that a little bit later in the show on alcohol. Why is it such a accepted drug, if you will, and other drugs, well, although they are, I think the argument is being made though, well, alcohol's fine. Why are we treating drugs as being bad? We need to make drugs accepted just kind of like alcohol. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong? If someone's addicted to drugs, we shouldn't stigmatize. There's this movement about drugs making it normal, normalizing drug use. And meanwhile, I think maybe we got to give our heads a shake and maybe go the other way with realizing the effects of alcohol being detrimental to human beings' health. And love coming out from Kevin to Bob and Nancy. Miles, the second depression is dementia. So it causes depression and also dementia, prolonged alcohol use. So love is going back to Kevin here. Brian, the world is littered, and good morning to you, Brian. The world is littered with the ruins of empires that once believed they were eternal, and you are so very right. I'm so interested in the rise and fall of empires, and history repeats itself, and there's so much to learn from them. We know, and we kind of take so little from them, and then we repeat the same mistakes because we don't learn from history the way we should. And good morning from Hearst, Ontario. This is Hearst News link and area. I've been on your page several times, and keep up the good work up in Hearst. Keep everybody informed up there. And it's an independent news Facebook page, so it's the way to kind of try to keep real information getting out there and as little censored as possible. So thanks for the good work you do up in Hearst. Sheila, and they say history does not repeat itself. I would tend to disagree with that. Yes, a typing area going blind, but it made a lot of sense when you said don't understand English and you wrote English. You misspelled it, which was kind of neat, and you didn't mean to do that on purpose. But anyways, it had an effect there. So local headlines for everybody from Sudbury. Lots of stuff going on here in the city. Here's one here. Local calls for city's integrity commissioner to be fired, from Sudbury.com here. So this is City Greater Sudbury Integrity Commissioner David Begoisian tabled a report in response to a complaint regarding Leduc's cell phone use, prompting Leduc to call for his firing. I'd have to say that's a little bit juicy here. So let's find out a little bit more about that. Ward 11 Councillor Bill Leduc. So he is Ward 11's councillor here in the city of Sudbury. So he's calling for the firing of Commissioner David Begoisian in a motion tabled May 28th for the May 28th City Council meeting, the one coming up. Leduc alleges Begoisian is using his power to harass members of council during his investigations and when presenting his reports. The investigation into Leduc's cell phone use was prompted by a complaint from a member of the public who requested anonymity. Begoisian's investigation, also tabled for the 28th meeting, ended up concluding that Leduc had not breached the city's code of conduct. Begoisian produced pursued the complaint long after it should have been shot down, Leduc alleges in his motion preamble, which notes Boghossian chose to pursue further questions and bring forward the report to council, which is not required when a complaint is dismissed, incurring additional costs. Wrong on both accounts. Boghossian told Sudbury.com the Integrity Commissioner denied pursuing further questions after deciding to dismiss the complaint. He said, "I do not understand where the councillor got that from," he said, and clarified that he was required to bring the report forward to City Council. The City Council's Code of Conduct, which you could click on Sudbury.com, stipulates that the Integrity Commissioner shall issue a report to City Council at the conclusion of a complaint investigation, Section 2110. The only circumstances where I am not to report to council is if I do not conduct an investigation because I find the complaint is not within my jurisdiction. He went on to say, even in the case of dismissal for lack of jurisdiction, it is within my discretion whether to do a report to council advising of this. Boghossian's office received the complaint on April 22nd, according to the report, alleging Leduc had breached the code of conduct. I wonder what that was, using his cell phone in a wrong way. I'm interested in this. At question were Leduk's cell phone charges, which totaled $2,188 in 2022, which made up approximately 22% of the $9,913 for all 12 members, far exceeding the average of $702. That is interesting that his charges on his cell phone were $2,188. I wonder what, like, you can get an international cell phone plan if you're making a lot of international calls. Like if you have a good data plan, you're not going to go over, and you're on Wi-Fi a lot, you don't even use data. So that's interesting. And the average is $702 for all the members, but his was, 3-4 times that. In 2023, Leduc incurred a cellular phone charge of $1,613, which was 30% of the City Council's total expenditure for that year, which was $5,440. So now they're already double what it was. So cell phone costs are going up quick for city councilors. But anyways, that's a side thing. Bolstering Leduc's cell phone charges were roaming charges due to his spending the winters in the United States. While you can get plans for that, so you don't have to worry about roaming charges. While Councillor Leduc's cell phone expenses are quite high relative to all other members of council, driven by roaming charges, owing to the fact that Councillor Leduc resides out of the country for a portion of the year, his overall expenses are only fourth highest amongst the 12 councillors, according to Boghossian's report. So there's 3 other councillors who have higher cell phone expenses than that. Wow. I also note that there is no limit on how much councillors can incur in cell phone expenses on their city-issued cell phones, unlike other expense items in respect of which there are limits. So what the heck? So the city cell phones, they must have a city plan with some carrier. They're going to have to be looking into what carrier they're with and what plans they have, because that's a lot of money for cell phones when you don't have to pay. Like, you can pay $150 and get unlimited data, international calling, you name it. You won't get roaming charges and stuff. Like, who the heck is in charge of expenses for the city and these cell phone plans? And if that's going on for cell phones, what else is going on for other things? Just misspending, mismanagement, wrong, bad decisions all the way around. But I guess we'll have to see what happens on this May meeting. He's calling for this commissioner to be fired. Like, that's a pretty heavy thing to ask because he's outing him on his cell phone. And he didn't even find that he was at fault. I guess just the fact that he investigated it in the first place, he's taking issue with. Multitasking this morning, listening while I watered the garden. That's great, Marianne. Diane Beaumatin And good morning, everyone, with a blue heart emoji. Thanks for being on, Diane. Hope you're having a great morning. Marianne says, the things that make you go, unbelievable. Some of these city councilors for sure. Marianne also says, if taxpayers are paying for these cell phones, at least get unlimited data. Geez. That's what I mean. Like, who's in charge of these cell phone accounts? All at the expense of taxpayers for sure. Very misspending a lot. That's a crap ton of money for cell phone plans. And you would know, Brian, owning a cell phone company yourself. Belinda says, you imagine what we don't see. Can you imagine what we don't see? Exactly. And again, calling for an audit for the city is still something that I'm very much a proponent for. The city needs an audit just to find out. Again, these little things come out, the Ed Archer getting the raise for him and all the management kind of thing. Just, let's give ourselves a raise. City cell phone bills, $10,000 for 12 members. $702 per member. That means some of the councillors are, if he's got the fourth largest bill and his is $2,100 and whatever it is, $88, and he has the fourth largest bill, that means three others have bills higher than that. And some would have bills that are just $100 and some dollars if it averages to 702. So, yeah, exactly. It's possible to have everybody, only paying like $150 a month. So someone can do the math, $150 a month for unlimited everything and times 12. And that would be your cell phone bills for the year, right? Pretty simple math. Saves a lot of money. Okay, Miles says, I know the cell phones in the city are used to be TELUS. Not sure now. However, there were many filters on them that the city IT control. And Belinda also says, all levels of government are compromised. What corruption? Absolutely, Marianne says. Quarantining, there are hidden slush funds. Yeah, again, citizens are very skeptical about how funds are managed at municipal levels, provincial, and federal levels because of the things we see, little things like this, right? This is small time compared to millions and billions of dollars of misspending, but millions and billions of dollars of misspending happen, right? And we need to find all of these out so that way we can do something to fix it. So also keeping with the same theme, Natalie Labby has basically said if she were CAO, she would resign over the wage hike issue. So again, okay, so here's something I can get behind. The city council meeting of May 14th has been weighing heavily on my mind, she says in a report to the media, which she also emailed to me as part of the media as well. So I'll just go from Sudbury.com's report because they'll probably have more to it than just reading her words verbatim. So she said that the May 14th meeting is weighing heavily on her mind. Following that meeting, the press released their summary, and it has definitely cast a questionable light on the competency and comprehension of Councillors Perrin, Fortune, Signoretti, and her, Councillor Labby, who were the only ones who chose to speak up about it. It's the fault of the press. It's just difficult to condense a 4-hour meeting into a short news article, which I agree. And so press, we talk about it at length here on the show, the mainstream media, how they report on things. There's usually a spin. Why do they feel that they have the ability to spin? Why don't they just want to give unadulterated facts and information to the community so they can make up their own minds? That's the responsibility of the press, right? So other people are frustrated with it as well. I'm not the only one. Comments made by a few others suggest that it's rather unfortunate that we weren't able to grasp or understand what they feel and had been obvious regarding the details of the 9 and 11% raise increases to certain staff. For context, I feel it's important to note that most municipalities have a delegated authority bylaw for their CAO and other directors. It's not something we suddenly thought was a good idea. Okay. I have to get back because I just clicked on the story here. So, while some people are recommending that it's all council's fault for giving the power to the CAO in the first place, that's simply not the case. And while it's common bylaw, further scrutiny has revealed by some of us on council, the ones that she just mentioned, that the delegated authority bylaw for Greater Sudbury is almost 38 pages long, plus 22 amendments, compared to other municipalities that only have an average of 6 pages. We just like making things complicated here, I guess. And the more complicated you make something, the easier it is to do something without getting figured out, right? So make things complicated could be a tactic by some to be able to get their way, I would think. Okay. So clearly this deserves its own audit as to how that grew over the last little while, but that will be for another day. I'm all about the audit, Natalie. We need a full audit of the city, period. And the ones that would fight it will show their colors, right? If you mention audit, and let's find a volunteer so it doesn't cost anything, so that argument's gone. Let's find a citizen who's just as concerned about the city as we are, and they have the credentials, and they'll volunteer their time and efforts just to reveal what's going on behind the curtain, right? Not only that, but there's some really good things that can be found, that cost-cutting measures, misspending like we see with the cell phone thing. Totally, like this, an audit is good, but the people that would fight you on it, that's very telling. So why? We don't need an audit. Well, if it doesn't cost you anything, so why are you against it now? Well, it's too much trouble for all the staff and they got to give their time and get reports done and whatever, right? Oh, I'm sure you're worried about misspending all of a sudden. Okay, anyways, I digress. So you say an audit for this particular thing would be good, but we'll leave that for another day. Some comments made in May 14th meeting some comments made at the May 14th meeting collectively made it seems like we either A, didn't read the notes of the report, or B, we read it, but we obviously and sadly just didn't have the capacity to grasp that information that was not provided to us. In fact, Councillor Leduc subsequently went on CTV to suggest that some of us on council who have jobs may not have had the time to devote to actually doing our homework, like the retired councillors do. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm not far off of what he said. Your comments are indignant and insulting, Councillor Leduc, but that doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Oh my goodness, this is kind of, there's some drama here. All right, furthermore, your recollection of what you believe to be accurate information about what exactly made available to us in closed sessions of council is also way off and in left field. Your comment suggests that 4 of us are lying and incompetent, and I believe that was your true intention of having airtime about it. We all know that $520,000 was never disclosed to us prior to or during the budget discussions, nor was it disclosed to us in any closed documents until it was leaked to Sudbury.com, and I will die on my sword over this fact. Yes, there was a closed meeting last September which highlighted the graph of specific non-unionized positions and how the CAO explained how the city is behind in meeting the 50th percentile in salaries for those positions. But that's it. So the CAO made a presentation to council saying, look, we're not paid as much as other municipalities. No costs were shared, no budget impact was shared, and no percentage increase was made by the CAO at that time. That meeting was merely for informational purposes. Only had to grant authority to the CAO to make a good judgment call moving forward based on that information. Previous council didn't want to commit political suicide during an election year and took the easy way out, according to Councillor Leduc, in response to comments made by Councillor Parent. And even earlier in 2023, Councillor wouldn't approve a 6% increase suggested by the CAO. So again, what made that CAO ever think that 9 and 11% would be reasonable or palatable to council? Like I said, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. We now realize too late that power is good, but control is better in this case. We did give him that power in good faith to exercise good judgment and not to benefit a few employees. So yeah, they basically gave him power to make good decisions based on all the facts they were given, but then went ahead and made, if he would have included, you know what I want to do with this information is I want to give myself and my colleagues a 9 and 11% wage increase, they might have then said, okay, whoa. That's not what we're talking about here. I think I can go out on a limb and suggest that's basically the gist of what Natalie's saying there, right? So what they were given the information and what, they gave powers to the CAO to do were not in fact to do that, and never thought that he would go ahead and do that. And then when found out, okay, that's not what we meant by giving you these sweeping powers. But as the CAO, he should be able to ascertain that a decision like this would have a trickle-down effect. You mean common sense? Are you saying the CAO of the city should have common sense? Is that what you're saying? Okay. That's a tall order. All right, anyways. It would have a trickle-down effect when people find out you just gave yourself a raise in one of the most economically challenging times we've ever seen. You get a raise, but people don't. And people are struggling. You would have thought common sense would say to the CEO there'd be a trickle-down effect within the corporation that should always be at the top of the list of importance. In voting to take away this delegated authority unanimously, we all agreed that proper judgment was not made by the CAO. Perhaps some of my colleagues voted in favor to renege the delegated authority because it would be political suicide again if they didn't vote yes. I don't know, and it's irrelevant to me at this point, but I have lost so much respect for some of them. When we decided that fateful September day to grant more delegated authority to the CAO, Councillor Fortin is 100% truthful that we indeed did have a rather robust conversation that would suggest that the CAO would come back to us if the raises were out of the reasonable range. It was a spit and a handshake moment, and we should have never agreed to that, but we did. So basically, she's saying we made a mistake. I admit it. We should not have done that, which I think is pretty integral for a human being, let alone a councillor of a city. So thanks, Natalie, for that. That's very, very adult of you to do that. After all, shouldn't council trust their only employee with this everyday responsibility? A few of us, admittedly, join the rest of council reluctantly as the right thing to do. And quite honestly, because I believe there is definitely the pressure and an unspoken expectation to please the mayor and for us to and for us to all get along and show solidarity to the public in our decisions after having such a fractured council for 8 years prior. And we've been doing a pretty good job of that for the most part. Councillor Fortin also 100% truthful when she reiterated that 9 and 11%, nor the actual cost of the increase decided by the CAO was not part of a closed finance report brought to the February 2024 meeting, the night that Councillor Montpellier passed away. So going on here, I would encourage everybody to just go and read the rest of her comments here. They're very telling. I'm glad that Natalie came out and basically just, put her heart on her sleeve. She's speaking to citizens here as a councillor. She's pulling back the curtain and saying what's, in her view, what's really going on with these issues. And we, I think, have to really appreciate what's going on here. We know that council can't always, be locked arm and singing Kumbaya all the time, as the mayor may want to publicly project. In cities, that doesn't happen. Maybe in the Liberal Party federally it does, but here in the city it's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. And people need to have freedom of thought, and that's what makes city councils great, is that you represent your constituents. You go to the city council meeting with their best interests in mind, and you try to make decisions for them. So Natalie's here. FYI, the CAO and the directors did not get raises. They're at the top of their scale. 31 managers in pay grid 15 to 18 only. Okay. So they did not get pay raises. They're already at the top of their pay scale. Well, thanks for that clarification. And thanks for being on, Natalie. And again, I wouldn't be able to, we'll just have to have you on the show at one time. You were on the show many times before. You, yourself, and Mike, whoever, other counselors are always welcome to be on the show as well. I just think it's really good to keep the conversation continuing with people. It's just something that is so refreshing these days to have that. Now, we won't be able to get to the harm reduction versus addiction thing, which I promised at the beginning of the show, but we will start tomorrow's show off with that. I'll start off with some local news talking about that, and then also a little bit of a deep dive into what the heck about alcohol. Like, why do we give alcohol such a free pass when we don't do the same for drugs, when alcohol is just as detrimental, if not more, in some cases with some people. We all know people in our family who have unfortunately had not great experiences with alcohol, and we see that firsthand. We know that it exists, but in society it's celebrated. We have commercials that celebrate alcohol. It's legal. We sell it at hockey games, baseball games. It's in our society. People now come home and it's normal to just have a glass of wine. We say, I can't wait to get home and just have a glass of wine. Is that productive for our society or detrimental, even though it's accepted? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. But thanks everyone for being on today, and thanks Natalie for peeling back the curtain of the city and having us be able to kind of look in and see what's going on. There are some huge issues going in. I really love the idea of an audit. I really do feel we need to push. I think we need to put it out there. Put an ad on Kijiji. Put an ad out on Facebook. Are there any people who are reputable, capable people that could do an audit of a city, that would love to volunteer to take away the roadblock of the idea of the city saying, no, we can't have it because we can't afford it? That's what Mayor Lefebvre says. He did not want an audit for the city. That's one of the things people wanted in the election. People want to see what's going on financially in the city when we see things like this with the cell phone bills, and we're now $600 million in debt compared to $40 million 4 years ago. We wonder what happens in this case, like how things lead to this. And so an audit is very telling. It can tell us things. And a third party, even non-paid volunteer audit by a capable person who's able to do this would definitely set the record straight and build more trust with our citizens here in the city. So that's definitely what I'm looking for and hoping for. And until we get that, we just will see little leaks here and there of all the misspending going on and bad decisions financially that the city is making. So that's the show for the day. We'll be back same time, same place, God willing. Make sure to like, share, take care, and stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. Have a great, wonderful Wednesday, everyone. It is hump day already. I can't believe it. Tuesday felt like Monday yesterday, but that's all due to a holiday. So thanks, everyone, for being on. And yes, good morning to all you, to Miles' grandson. Hi to you this morning. And now bye. We got to go. Have a great one, everyone. Take care.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.